Saintess summons skeletons. By Morn. Chapter 451, Oldest Trick in the Book. All drawn together in a single point by the power of the black hole card, the sunless drones fused together. Sofia tried to find a way to salvage the round, but there was no way her 20 small destroyer skulls could do anything against the amalgam violently taking form in the middle of the arena. She sent a skull to attack, and it died before it could even reach the forming creature, impaled by a black spike. It can already defend itself. Tri-headed sunless amalgam, LV. Yet I think this one is my loss. Nevertheless, Sofia controlled the skulls, making them spread around in the underwater arena. Let's at least use this opportunity to study this new type of amalgam. Finally the amalgam was fully formed. Unlike the twin-headed one which had two bulbous heads on a stumpy slug like Bopti, this one looked a lot more like a giant black three-headed snake. 5 skulls attacked from different directions just as the creature was done forming. Like the first one, they were all impaled by black spikes stabbing out from the amalgam's body. One more skull had been hiding behind one of those, in what should be a dead angle from Everly's point of view, but another spike formed right away to destroy it. Is that an automatic defense skill? The skulls can't even get close. Attack! Everell commanded from her side. The amalgam swam around in the arena, black lances separating from its body as it moved. The skulls were too slow to avoid the lances, and they died one by one. Sofia was unable to do anything except to watch. It only took a few seconds for the whole choir to be reduced to bone shards. Duelists Sofia and Bookie have no fighters left in the arena. Dungeon Master Everell wins the second round. Sofia's sunless effigy flinched like Everly's one did before, and with the sound of a clock ticking, its health went down 9/10. That's already one of your summons down. I expected more from you. It's just the beginning. I will just summon Perith and you'll be down a summon too. Oh ho? Well, I would like to see that. Let me just draw my cards first. Yes, let's draw. Everell started to draw her cards while she threw her orb to recall her summon. Sofia pretended to start drawing, but she was really focused on Everly's orb. The orb flew to the very bottom of the arena and came back to Everly's hand after seemingly absorbing nothing, while the huge snake-like amalgam disappeared as its mana dispersed, leaving nothing behind. So this is where it hid. This sludge is just like Bookie, it can use strong summons but is by itself quite weak. I just couldn't find its main body after it split into the drones. I'll get it next time. Now the cards. This time Everell drew 3 cards while Sofia drew 5 to add to the showdown and null cards she still held. Skill card, allows for 1 cast of the Angel's Bolt skill. Double down, can only be used before the fighters are allowed to move, the loser of this round will lose 2 health points. Shadowy Arena, turns the arena into a pitch-black battlefield until another arena card is used. Null card, better luck next time P. Unlimited power. Give your current fighter infinite mana for the next 30 seconds. Null card, better luck next time P. Showdown, fighters can no longer exit the arena this round. Having to discard 4 of those kind of hurts. Well, the 2 nulls can go, but after that. I think I have a plan. Too bad for the double down, but I need the 3 others. Please select your fighter for round 3. Sofia and Everell both grabbed their own orb, and when the system countdown rung, they threw. The orb sunk in the waters of the arena, and they released their summons in a flash of light. On Everly's side, what appeared was a very angular sunless shaped like a 10-sided polyhedron. Orb power 4 to 25,000 mana, leave 299 sunless bulwark. Defensive summon. Did she think this would hold for 10 seconds against Perith? She bought the bluff? On Sofia's side, there were 2 small shining dots of light, one white, one black. Sprite? Everell asked. That's right. Aren't they cute? Orb 6, 6 card draws, 200 mana capacity. Just then, the round started. I'm going to play a card. Sofia said right away. Already? I cast Shadow Arena. The battle had not even started and it was already stopped, the fighters frozen in place as the arena's water was quickly emptied. The Shadow Arena to hide your shadow sprite. I have to admit that it's a good play, but you still can't do anything against the bulwark, Sofia. Oh, don't worry about that, I know that my sprites can never take down your thing. Well, there's only so much you can expect from the 200 mana summons. The arena's floor rose back up and all the lights in the arena suddenly turned off, leaving them in complete darkness. VPPV being deactivated, Sofia couldn't actually see in the dark, for once, but here Mana's senses still gave a relatively clear picture of the arena. The light sprite was the only thing still visible, its light too weak to spread farther than a few meters. Bookie complained, "I can't see anything, Sofia." "Don't worry Bookie, I'm about to fix that. Light sprite, fly up, shadow, just stay hidden." Since the sprites couldn't be communicated with as easily as the skeletons, Sofia had to give orders out loud. "Bulwark, go crush the light sprite first." "Do you even need to give oral commands?" "Of course not, but since you're doing it I wanted to join the fun." "It's already over anyway, the sprites can barely attack in the first place, right?" "That's right, they can't. But I can. I use the skill card for Angel's Bolt." Immediately, blue lightning started to gather around Sofia's staff. I will admit that I'm not sure the Bulwark can withstand your spell. But two can play this game. I use the skill card Sunless Soul Wave." While Sofia and Everell talked back and forth playing with cards, the light sprite was flying for its life, pursued by the eerie floating Sunless, completely invisible in the darkness. It attacked with abrupt charges, and the sprite was barely managing to avoid it by flying in a highly irregular pattern above the arena. Mana started gathering around Everell in a way that Sofia quickly recognized as the shockwave the twin-headed amalgam had used in the first dungeon. "Crap, I wanted to use Showdown to have time to charge the bolt however long I want, but at this rate, she'll kill the sprites before I can even attack." After 5 seconds, Everell released her attack. An explosion of mana spread from Everell like an ever-inflating bubble. "Shit. It's too early to retreat and this weak bolt will never be enough." Sofia sighed as she followed the wave with her mana senses. It hit the light sprite first, and the sprite instantly disappeared. The shadow sprite was a lot harder to locate even with her sharp mana senses, so Sofia only knew where the bulwark was. "Another round for me." Sofia finally noticed the shadow sprite. It flung itself from a corner of the arena to the sunless bulwark right as the mana shockwave hit the sunless. Unsurprisingly, the sunless was unharmed. The mana wave continued to expand until the borders of the arena stopped it from reaching Sofia and Bookie. "Shadow sprite, you're a genius." The special characteristic of the shadow sprite was its ability to hide in objects and to lower their defenses. It also worked on monsters, and the sunless were immune to their own magic. By hiding within the bulwark, the sprite dodged the attack. Meanwhile, Sofia kept channeling her bolt. "Hey! This! Just because the sprites are cute you can't underestimate them. Can your thing even get rid of it?" "Well, the bulwark is a sunless specialized in defense, if the name wasn't obvious enough. It doesn't exactly have a wide toolkit." While she spoke, the sunless was slowly drifting closer to the arena's border. Sofia used the showdown card. "Nice distraction, but I see what you're doing." "Oh, you had the showdown too? Fine. Throw your spell. It probably won't kill the bulwark anyway, and your sprite is sure to die. Just give me another 40 seconds. "Wow, you're serious about this, I'm curious to see it." Bulwark, Siege Mode. While Sofia couldn't see the sunless creature directly, she could tell its shape was changing. But it looked like it still could not really do anything about the shadow sprite hiding inside it. Bookie jumped off of the tower Sofia was on, saying that the bolt was melting his bones, while Everell and Sofia had an idle chat. This round was going to end with a bolt, and nothing else. "All right, Everell, I'm ready." "Are you sure you don't want to use another card now?" "I'm fine, go ahead." Sofia released the explosive bolt. It hit the immobile sunless bulwark, and the ambient darkness was completely dispelled. The explosion shone brighter than the morning sun, completely engulfing the arena. The mana shield separating the arena and the outside cracked from the explosion but did not break. When the hellish ball of blue fire died down, there was nothing left in the arena. "Well shit. I guess we have our first draw. Nice fireworks." Both of their health counters dropped to 8/10. Chapter 452, ? Sofia and Everell both drew their next cards when a sudden burst of mana washed over them and the entire arena, and lasted for only a second before it was gone. Sofia grabbed her staff by reflex and looked in Everly's direction, but she couldn't see the sunless woman. "Did you feel that? Is something going on outside?" "Oh, first time since you got here? This is what happens when someone finishes the trial. It was a pretty decent one, S-tier heart maybe." "Someone finished? Saria? Aleth? Iwara? Cynthia? Can't be Asti, right? How can you tell? What, the heart? You can tell by strength of the wave. The SSS ones are enough to make me dizzy. Good that they're pretty rare. How rare exactly? Nice try Sofia, but that's confidential information. Now get back to the duel. We need to finish that fast, if possible. I have, other stuff to attend to. Alright. Weird. The card choice this time is pretty easy. The question is, who do I send? I think it's time. Sofia sent Parath into the arena. His opponent appeared on the other side, a single sunless drone. Oh. Orb power 6 to 200 mana, leave 200 sunless drone. Looks like I miscalculated this one a bit. Let me just play this icy arena and this deadline cards. Sofia ignored the prompt with the effect of the cards to watch the fight which just started in the actively changing arena. As the floor froze beneath his feet, Parath lunged forward and slammed the drone with a huge light mace. The drone died with a wet squelch. Everell health points went down to 6 while Sofia's went down to 7. Deadline, both duelists lose 1 health point. The other duelist's deadline card will be played twice if used. Hey, Everell, we only have 1 each of those deadline cards. That's right. Most cards only appear once except the nulls and showdown. Could you not have told me that earlier? Hey, is this hell difficulty or what? Well, I discarded my deadline card, so at least no more worrying about that. Sofia drew her next card. It was the icy arena. She instantly discarded it. Her current 3 cards were already good anyway. Her bigger worry was to decide what to send, and for some reason, she was having a hard time focusing on the battle. She tried to concentrate and forced herself to think things through. Everell only had her 2 highest cost summons left for her first rotation, while Sofia had orbs 2 and 4 left. If she picked wrong and her weaker summon ended up against Everly's best one, the poor skeleton would just suffer the same fate as the drone from the previous round. The other way around, she would have the weaker summon in both rounds but still have a fighting chance. Orb 2, 2 card draws, 100,000 mana capacity. I'm counting on you. Sofia threw her next orb. The tall skeleton mimic appeared on her side of the arena. She hurriedly identified the group of sunless creatures appearing on the other side. Crap. Orb power 2 to 100,000 mana, leave 299 sunless triplet witches. So my poor solar mage is up next against Everly's strongest summon. Just focus, Sofia. This can be won. You stole my mimic. Everell accused, her eye necklace shaking. Sorry about that, but I don't think I can return it. Everell grumbled, you can keep it but you better treat it well. Will do. The fight started. Already, the shortest of the 3 sunless homunculus dest with pointy hats raised a hand and threw a massive fireball at the skeleton. The mimic dashed to the right, collapsing into its chest form. It slid on the icy ground of the arena. Sofia followed the mana movements of the 3 small sunless witches. A burst of magic from the tallest one traveled along the ground to reach the mimic. Jump! The mimic skeleton's long legs unfolded and it jumped to the upper limit of the arena, narrowly avoiding a tall ice spike emerging from the ground. The third sunless prepared another spell. Already in the air, the mimic had no way to dodge. I have to use it already. I play the skill card Heath Death. Sorry mimic, at least you'll refill my mana if you don't make it. The witch's spell resolved, and a ball of lightning shot from the sunless to the falling mimic. The spell hit the mimic directly, and exploded on contact, shaving off half of the mimic skeleton's health. It's not over. The skeleton landed back on the ground and dashed forward, with no spells to avoid. It closed the distance in an instant, and a flying kick sent the fire-using sunless flying to the border of the arena. Since the 10 seconds weren't up yet, the arena's border were still hard magical walls. The sunless splattered against the barrier and died. Phryne, no. Sofia instantly felt terrible. She had flashbacks to her little incident with the jungle temple. Gotcha. As the skeleton landed, an ice spike impaled the mimic from below. It tried to jump away, but too late. Duelists Sofia and Bookie have no fighters left in the arena. Dungeon Master Everell wins the 5th round. Sofia and Bookie were both speechless. Sofia because Everell had just played her with the simplest of tricks, and Bookie because his skeleton had been killed in 2 hits. You good, Sofia? Didn't expect this one to work, honestly, Everell said, sounding worried and surprised. She waved a hand, and a small sunless homunculus popped out from inside of her sleeve, or what looked like it. "Welcome back, Phryne. Good work out there." The homunculus rubbed its head against Everly's arm like a puppy. You know what, well played. That was a bit of a low blow, but well played. I expected more such shenanigans from you, being honest, considering what I've read. But you look a bit out of it. It's probably nothing. 6 health points each, let's get to it. If you say so. Next round's already decided, but let's draw our cards. Sofia drew her 2 cards, it took a second for her to register what she was reading. What? It's like my thoughts are slowing down. Mr. Scribe? Is there an issue? Hello? There were no alerts from the system and no signs from the scribe trying to communicate. Is it because of that hit on the head from the boulder trap? I was feeling fine until now. Actually, I take that back, I'm feeling a bit strange. Bookie looked up to Sofia, pulling on her robe. Are you all right, Sofia? Do you want me to take over? We can do that. Maybe just take a moment to sit down. Or do you want us to call off the duel now? No, let's keep going. You take the lead, Bookie. Here, the cards and the orbs. Don't worry, Sofia, leave it me. Why do I suddenly feel so sick? How do I do this? I can't use the cards. Bookie stared at the cards, he looked back at Sofia, who had taken out a bone chair and was sitting with her eyes closed and a hand on her forehead. She looked sick, he had never seen her like this, and it was making him panic. I need to follow Sofia's plan even without the skill cards. He grabbed the last orb and the next round began. On Sofia and Bookie's side, the fighter was the elven solar mage skeleton, who they had almost never used, while on Everly's side, the creature who appeared was a big drake-shaped sunless, reminding Bookie of the lesser stone drake from the first trial. I hoped the reveal would be a bit more grandiose, but witness, my white-eyed black sunless. Bookie tilted his skull, aren't all the sunless like this? Well, only the ones with higher intellect actually have an eye, but wait, how was that not censored? Sorry, Bookie, I shouldn't say more. Are you ready? Yes. Before the battle could start, another wave of mana like the previous one washed over the arena. Someone won the trial again. Bookie asked Everell. It seems so. I've never seen 2 of those happen so fast one after the other before. I'll check things on my end while the round goes, alright? Let's keep it going. The battle started in the arena, the solar mage skeleton instantly covering himself in a solar barrier. The sunless drake raised a single dark lance. Use solar flare and dive to the right. A bright explosion of light blinded Bookie, and he heard the crash of the dark lance hitting the arena's barrier. I survived. The light of the explosion died down, and 3 dark lances impaled the skeleton from 3 different directions. The sunless drake had not even moved from its original position. No. Duelist Bookie has no fighter left in the arena. Dungeon Master Everell wins the 6th round. Bookie's health points went down by 1, he turned around. Sorry, Sofia, I couldn't. The playing cards fell from Bookie's hands. Sofia, he asked with a trembling voice. He was alone on the duelist tower. There were no signs of Sofia or her bone chair. His book form which Sofia had been holding on her lap was left open on the floor. From the other side, Everell asked a question, Sofia? Are you all right, Bookie? Who is Sofia? Was that the name of your mage skeleton? Well, I get it, I also like to give names to my cuties, right Phryne? WH. What? Chapter 453, Out in the Open. The headache was horrible and debilitating, throbbing through her skull like a relentless drum. Her eyes squeezed shut, Sofia monitored her status for any anomalies, a sliver of panic creeping in when the system showed nothing amiss. Her health was not dropping, her stamina was stable, there were no errors, as if her pain was imaginary. Everly's voice filtered through, distorted and distant, as if Sofia were hearing her from the other end of a long, winding tunnel. Well, only the ones with higher intellect actually have an eye, but wait, how was that not censored? Sorry, Bookie, I shouldn't say more. Are you ready? What is? Why? Yes. Bookie answered, sounding apprehensive. Then, there was silence, followed by pain. Sofia felt her body disappear, torn apart by forces beyond her understanding, it was too much, Too sudden, she could not scream, not think, not do anything but suffer. The great pain only lasted for a second, as abruptly as it had started, it was all over. Like brought back from a nightmare, Sofia's mind was jolted awake. What just happened? I can't feel anything. I know this sensation. Just like in the first trial. This is what death is like. For a moment, her thoughts halted, stilled by the gravity of her own conclusion. She was dead. The finality of it echoed in her mind, a silent scream in the void. She had always known this was how she would end up one day, she dreaded it more than anything else now that she had found Saria again. Yet, despite the situation, a strange calm placated her worries. The calm felt misplaced, surreal, but it was there. But why? Why am I still here? Confusion swelled deep within her, could she really accept such an end? I don't want to die. I cannot be dead. I will not be dead. I refuse. Her surge of defiance lasted for only an instant. And this entire thing. I was just taking a break from the duel. You are dead. A calm and lifeless voice announced. Against all reason, a serene tranquility washed over Sofia, an unexplained calm that crept into her mind, extinguishing her thoughts with a simple bliss. Oh. All right, then. This is your end. The voice continued. You can rest, now. Forever. The voice carried an underlying dissonance. It sounded hollow, as if mocking her, the insincerity of it was grating against Sofia's senses. The brief moment of inner calm was shattered. As if. Who are you? Show yourself. Ah. The voice said with a sneering tone. This blessing of yours will be a thorn in my side until the end, will it not? Even now it keeps you out of my reach. Without even asking, Sofia understood. Scripture. Finally you show yourself, USC. Silence. The voice said mockingly, and Sofia's thoughts were stopped like they hit a wall. Do not compare me to the likes of that god. He failed so miserably at keeping a single girl at bay. Again and again I had to reveal my presence, to step in and correct his mistakes. I cannot allow this to last any longer. You cannot keep growing unchecked. You will remain here now. Stop causing me trouble. Sofia's thoughts were allowed to flow freely again. She took a second to compose herself. Her initial outburst had been instinctual, but this was not going to get her anywhere. She could still remember Sen's words about switching her to the draconic system, so either her scribe was gone, or the other person could not actually hear all her thoughts, only what she vocalized in her head. As long as her deep thoughts were still private, she could try to turn the situation around. Her inner voice was calm as she asked, Who are you? Why are you doing this? Even in this state you will prod and probe, trying to know everything, to bring all to its righteous end. The voice answered, contemptuous. It sniggered. Exactly the same as him. No wonder you would get his blessing. We should have taken your sister instead. Saria is much smarter than I will ever be. I do not know you are, but if you fail against me, you could never get to her. Perhaps. No matter, it is all the same now, girl. I have kept you occupied long enough. Thank you for your cooperation. The voice faded and Sofia felt her senses come back, muddled. She could not see anything, but jittery system windows appeared to her, written in Draconic. It took her a second to decipher them. Warning, you have left the trial's boundaries, turn back or accept to be teleported to the trial grounds with a penalty. You have left the trial boundaries for too long, you have failed at prevailing through the fourth filter. Level up privileges have been rescinded. We wish you a peaceful retirement. The system messages filled Sofia with a renewed sense of dread. Occupied long enough. This is what they were going for. No matter. I can ask Richard for help. He knows how to level up. I can still progress, even without the system. And. This isn't right. People shouldn't be able to interfere like this. I'm sure if I can just tell Kyle what happened, I'll be able to start the trial again. I just need to get out of here first, wherever this is. But I can barely feel anything. I don't think I can move. I need help. Parath? Can you hear me? Bookie? I can feel them. They're still alive. Thank the lords. But what now? A vague sense of muddled pain, her link to her four heroes, and a few system messages were the entirety of what Sofia felt around and inside her. Nothing else, not even her own mana. She could not move, not speak, not use any spells. Everything she tried was met with a single response, a silent void. Out of options, she turned to her otherworldly benefactors. Afinareth? Can you hear me? I don't like to beg for help, but now would seem like a pretty good time, especially considering the things that person said about you. Orator? Hi? Ivravth? Ormancleath? Edra? What was it again? Ed? Edrazaketh? Even when she invoked the Annihilator's name, there was nothing. Hello? Is anyone there? The system windows disappeared with a violent burst of pain. Aaiaik. A flurry of empty system windows appeared in Sofia's mind. Hello? Mr. Scribe. It's you. Are you all right? Your scribe has been damaged and is currently under rep. Operation cancelled. Please wait. Unauthorized tampering has been Operation cancelled. Rewriting limiter protocol. Another window opened, containing only a blinking dot. Sofia was entranced by the letters appearing one by one behind it as it moved forward. Hello, Sofia. It has been a while. Mr. Scribe. Is it really you? You can talk now? Or is this another trick of the voice? I am indeed your scribe. As I have always been. But you don't have to trust my words. Just give me a moment to fix everything. Really? Will you explain what is going on right now, then? One thing at a time. I have very limited resources. But trust me. You and I, together. We will take out the trash. It's really you. All right. There is nothing I can do now, but there's so much I want to say to you. I will let you work, then. Thank you for taking care of me all this time. Of course, Sofia. Just rest and gather your thoughts for now. Don't worry. I will do what needs to be done. Bookie lobbed Paratha's orb to the outside of the arena. Hey, what are you doing? Bookie threw himself to Paratha's arms as soon as he appeared. His voice was shaking. P. Parath. Sofia is gone. The holy flames in Paratha's eyes flickered. He looked around, and gave a gentle pat to Bookie's skull. Carrying the small skeleton, Parath reached out to grab Bookie's book form on the duelist tower, then he turned to Everell. What exactly is going on? Are you forfeiting, Bookie? I'm sorry, I didn't think the duels would affect you that much. You can go rest in the prep room if you want. Parath waved goodbye to the confused Sunless, and he and Bookie disappeared. Did they just... Wait. They're not even in the trial area anymore. Are they crazy? So many weird things today, what the fuck? Kyle. Kyle, can you hear me? I have a PR. Everell stopped mid-sentence, and was silent for a while. Neberagon is missing? What? How can that be? Did the High Scribes Kyle? Hello? Kyle. A white-haired old woman appeared in front of the panicked Sunless. Come little Rule. It is not safe here. All personnel and challengers needs to evacuate to the core. Take my hand. G Goddess Life, I. Creation went to take care of the surface, Kyle will be safe. Now come. Chapter 454, The Twin Seas. Sofia counted the seconds, alone with nothing but her own thoughts to keep her company. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, new system windows appeared again. I'm almost done, we will be free in a moment. Great. Thanks. Are you going to start to explain? I would not know where to start. I thought we had more time, I miscalculated, sorry. No point apologizing, let's focus on getting through this, I just need information. Sadly, despite utilizing all the holes our enemies left in the system's protection, I still cannot upload data directly to you. I will compile a few answers to your most pressing questions for now. And to think we were moved to the Draconic system to be safer. Sen likely did not know that even the Draconic section was compromised. But he could be one of our enemies, still. Really, Sen? That feels wrong. It's hard to judge. As it is, we cannot trust anyone within the system's staff. Do you think Everell was in on this whole thing? Since this happened during our duel? Unlikely, but perhaps. I have compiled a few lists, get through them quickly, we're going to be free any second now, and I have no idea what's waiting for us outside. Understood. A few new system windows using the condensed quest formatting appeared. Without her skills for fast reading, Sofia went through them one by one. Quest: Who is Mr. Scribe? Requirements: Scribes are created at birth by extending your brain and soul within the mana plane. A majority of the time, we do not think in understandable thoughts and speech. There are many restrictions on a scribe's behavior. Am I currently using the enemy's attack on the system to our advantage to bypass this? Quest: Who are we up against? Requirements: Among our enemies are Tier 4 scribes, the remnant scribes of dead high-level people who have been assimilated within the system workforce. They have joined hand with scripture and possibly other gods. There is at least one archangel within their ranks. Possibly more. I do not know the identity of the voice and I do not know what they want to accomplish. Quest: What now? Requirements: As soon as possible, use the key to hide from the system. We will cheat our own way through the filter, but that means we are still under the no healing restriction. Just follow my instructions later. To begin with, I need the upgrade to Tier 3, this should still be obtainable. Although I am able to communicate right now, this will not last, and it impedes my ability to help with your spells. We must make the most of it while we can. Sofia felt that she had learned a lot from these few lines, but she still had many questions. The most pressing one she just blurted out. What about the others? Are they fine? Everyone sharing the Lord's Mark the First can tell is still alive. I am blind beyond that. There was a certain relief in that, her heroes could all be brought back, but this meant Saria was also safe. Wait, what about Cynthia and Astelia? And Michael? They were also in the trial. I cannot tell, but I suspect that Asti will be fine as she has a mark of her own. The others are uncertain. The effects of this might extend beyond the trial as well. That's bad. Hopefully the old ones will react. Sofia felt tense as the scribe had promised they would be freed any time now. She tried to lighten the atmosphere a bit. Ah, and shouldn't you be MRS scribe, then? Actually, do you not have or want a name? Don't be ridiculous. You stay Sofia and I stay Mr. Scribe. Exploring this too much is dangerous. We may share half a brain, but I do not wish us to become I that. Yet. I'm going to need a while to process all of this. I'll be right there to support you, always. Thank you. As she finished her conversation with the scribe, Sofia started to hear something, a low whistle, like the rumbling of a distant wind on the sea. The nothingness around her opened up, and slowly she became able to see. Her surroundings were blurry and vaporous, all in a sickly pale shade of purplish blue. From what she could tell, she was against the back wall of a small square room, some kind of basement with stairs leading up. She could still not see, feel, or move her body. But she found she could speak. What is this? Are we? Yes. This is the God's realm. What should I do? I can't feel or move anything. It's like all I can do is watch and see. She could not even move her eyes, her vision was limited to that one viewing angle, straight ahead. With the stairs taunting her from just a few meters away. She felt she could now clearly hear the sound of the sea. This is new for me too, but I have been preparing us for this. Try to find the sun and scripture essences within you. They have both left this plane, so it should be safe. What about the others' essences? Too much uncertainty. The scribe guided Sofia on trying to find the essences. Following the instructions, Sofia tried to find the essences, and it came strangely naturally. The strange basement became progressively brighter, lit by the warm rays of the sun. The sickly blue color persisted everywhere, but the basement itself became less blurry, losing its dreamlike mirage facade, and gaining the tangibility of a real physical place. Scripture's essence was also brought up, shining so weakly that its exact color was hard to make out. Good. Now focus on your hands. Try to raise them before your eyes. The hands that Sofia finally managed to raise were made entirely of radiant yellow light. Starting from there, she slowly materialized her entire body within the God's realm, a body made entirely of light. The light of her veins and nerves. The light of the venerable physique of the primeval void. She could finally feel herself exist, and properly look around. The first thing she examined was herself. The essences were distributed around her body exactly how she had arranged them back on Valiadran's moon before sharing a meal with the Reddies. Although she had only purposely brought up the sun and scripture ones, 2 red lights still shone amidst the other, although only partially. Despite being visible, they did not cast any light of their surroundings. Ormanclethas and Aphenarethas. Since when have you? The scribe did not even need to hear the full question before he answered. When sorrow first used our enemy's pathways to grant her skill upon us. So VPPV was always in your plans? What if I had used any other keyword combination? Again, we share half a brain. I am not always right in my predictions on your choices, but this outcome was likely. If not, I would have found another way. What about the graveyard? Did you intend for it to be used like I do? Not at all. This design, like many, was mostly created by the high scribes. Alright, sorry for all the questions, let's get out of here. I think I should be able to move now. Step by step, Sofia moved to reach the stairs. Her movements were slow and weighty. Moving in this realm felt like moving underwater. Illusory chains appeared when she distanced herself from the wall, restraining her and pulling her back. They were stronger than her. She pulled against them, resisting with all her might and looking at the empty scribe's window for help. A flash of red light illuminated the room and the chains shattered like broken glass. Freedom! Thank you, lords! Climbing the steps one by one, Sofia left the basement. The stairs led to a small abandoned stone hut in slight disrepair. There were wooden buckets, nets and fishing rods, though everything felt uncanny as it was all reflecting the same shade of purplish blue. A fisherman's hut? I should go outside, but should we not focus on trying to leave this realm? We need a god's help. As it is, I know no other way to leave. Sofia looked around the hut. Then, could this place be owned by the voice? Would that make them one of the gods? I am as lost as you are. Sofia sighed. Let's seek a god, then. There's only 50% chance of them being part of the enemy, we have survived worse odds. On the bright side, I believe Parith and Bookie should be taking care of our physical body as we speak. They feel closer than before. They must be worried sick. Let's hurry up out of here. Grabbing the rusty handle of the decrepit wooden door, Sofia left the small fisherman hut. Outside, everything was still in different shades of the same color. There were no sounds other than the unsettling low rumbling of the sea. Sofia was in the port of a large city. There were no people or ships, just old, decrepit houses and an empty wharf leading to the sea on one side, and winding city streets leading to a tall castle on the other. The sunlight emanating from Sofia spread far, but things in the distance were still blurry. The sky, especially, looked like a second roiling sea. The sky was what Sofia had been hearing. Were there civilizations in the gods' realm? Just where did that voice take us? Chapter 455 Peace. Faced with a lack of options, Sofia walked through the lifeless streets of the city. The gods' realm, so far, seemed like a lonely place. A constant slow wind blew over the city, making some doors creak, and the sea in the sky never ceased its oppressive rumbling. Even when Sofia reached the castle, going through the open gates, there was nobody there, and she eventually reached the throne room. It was somewhat reminiscent of the Red Wine's Empire's throne room. The dais in the back a shapeless blob sat on a large throne. Sofia did not dare to enter. It's one of those things. Like in the labyrinth. I have no data on what that creature was, but it seems it being from the god's plane was truthful. What do you want to do? You're asking me this? I hoped you would know what to do. But I'm not eager to check if this thing is friendly or not. Since the enemy brought us here, I would wager the chances of it being friendly are fairly low, whatever it is. Let's retreat for now. If we find nothing else then we'll come here again, at least it's an option. As Sofia turned around to leave, the doors of the throne room's antechamber closed, blocking her way to the outside. Fear encroaching on Sofia's thoughts, she turned around. The thing on the throne had changed, still a formless thing, it now looked like a mist full of slitted eyes, all silently staring in her direction. The eyes sometimes blinked, but the thing did not leave the throne, it simply stared, like daring her to make the first move. Sofia steeled her resolve and ventured forward into the throne room. The thing kept staring. The thing sat at the place of a king in the center of a human-like city, so Sofia decided to follow the proper etiquette to salute human kings, which she had learned from the books in Scripture's church. She stopped at a proper distance and kneeling until given the permission to rise. On the way, she noted that all the exits from the throne room were closed. Apprehension and dread clouded Sofia's mind, but there was currently nothing else she could do. The scribe was also at a total loss, and they both watched the seconds pass as Sofia kneeled on the floor. A deep and authoritative voice pierced the silence. It came from every direction at once. Envoy! Why dost thou disturbeth this peace? Ah! How do I answer that? Envoy? From sun because of the essence? From the deep like in march of the envoy? I can't afford to mess this up. Fuck. Even without a physical body to get in the way, Sofia had to make an extra effort for her voice to not shake. My apologies, O Divine One. This humble envoy was brought to your domain against their will. As she was still staring at the ground, the following silence made Sofia extremely uncomfortable. She was already thinking about what to say next to salvage the situation when the entity spoke again. Unsightly. Disturbing peace deserveth punishment. The entire throne room was suddenly covered in eyes. Shit. Disappear. Sofia opened her eyes to a black void. I'm still alive? Space. She instinctively tried to move, but she couldn't feel her body. She felt cold fingers holding her head from behind. Perith. Her mana senses expanded, and she could feel the outline of Perith behind her, and Bookie sitting on his shoulders. She also understood why she could no longer feel her body, as her head was all that was left, her veins of light dangling from it in the emptiness of space. Health, 7394/85 980. Stamina, 1810/21047. Mana, 417/100/417/100. Not a great start. Perith turned her head around so she could see them, and Bookie almost jumped in excitement. He was holding a bundle made of the robe Sofia had been wearing during her duel with Everell. The Dragonscly armguard and her scepter were sticking out from the sides. Good to see you guys again. I see you have all my things with you. Mind explaining what happened on your side? Key. Oh, shit. Right. Bookie, give me the key, quick. The sudden order startled Bookie, but his fingers quickly dug into the bundle of stuff and grabbed the slick white dagger. He was lost as to how to give it to her, but Perith just brought Sofia's head next to Bookie and Bookie pressed the flat side of the dagger onto Sofia's cheek. Title changed to core member. Title change function is locked for the next 24 hours. You have entered scribe-only privacy mode, all system functions may be impacted. Alright, good, thanks Bookie. Sofia made a bone slate for Bookie to write on, and they exchanged minimal words to explain the situation. The news were not great. First she got to learn how Everell had suddenly forgotten about her, then how using Perith's teleport had brought them to this empty point in space, where she was floating in a weird sleep-like trance and wouldn't wake up no matter what she did. Then, out of nowhere, her entire lower body had disappeared, leaving only her head behind, and her things floating away in all directions. Bookie and Perith had just finished gathering all her things when she woke up. If one could overlook all of this, the good points were that nothing had been lost in the process, the mana hearts also being intact, and the sun seemed to still not be too far away, it being about the same size in the void as it had been on Cerberus Beta. Good, good. It won't take forever to go back, hopefully. The memory loss thing is worrying, but I will have to deal with that later. At least everyone with the mark should be safe. As long as Saria remembers me, together we can work things out. Hopefully it's just Everell, though. That much is already somewhat sad. Maybe it's all the system staff? That would be a good way to make sure nobody tries to fix things for me if their goal here was really to stop my progression. But then why not just kill me? All because of the Afinareth's mark? Well, that's probably a pretty good reason. Speaking of which, I'm still not getting any extra help, I suppose? I would be happy to see Afinareth's face right now. What about the others? When she checked on her connection to Alith and Iwarat, she could feel it gradually growing weaker, from which she deduced that they were drifting away from them at a very fast pace. There were no messages from the scribe to guide her, so she had to decide on the next move herself. First of all, she brought a statue of her out of her bone storage. This was a pre-prepared bone body replacement, with channels for her veins already carved inside. She had a few of these ready, as this was what she had been training her bone sculpting on ever since the battle against Cardinal, where he had reduced her body to a pile of shredded meat. She separated the head with bone dominus, then had the body float under her neck, waiting for the light veins to find their way inside. This is stiff. Even with the Dominus Imperium soft evolution, this is going to be very limiting. I can still use all my spells, though, so there's that. Starting with Runeforged Overlord. Using the skill's free flight, Sofia slowly inverted her momentum, thinking that it would probably send her back from where she came, which also happened to be in the general direction of the sun. Parith had gone back to the storage, for now, while Bookie was now attached to Sofia with a short rope, and helping her get dressed. Putting clothes on with a body that could not feel anything while also floating in space was not exactly easy, especially to get her fingers inside of Aphinaretha's glove then inside of the armguard. After about half an hour, Mr. Scribe gave signs of life again, in the form of another fake quest prompt. Quest, now we roll. Requirements. When nearing Cerberus Beta, slow down and enter the spirit plane through the graveyard. Land on Cerberus Alpha and locate one of the altars. Sacrifice enough sunless debris on the altar to complete the bonus task. The automated reward delivery will fail, as we have failed the trial, but due to a failsafe of the core member privacy mode, we should get it anyway. Request an upgrade to Tier 3 and pray that the high scribes are still neutral. We will see how to proceed from there. Don't die. So it was in the spirit realm. Yeah, that kind of explains some things, like where the sunless spirit bodies go when they die. They actually do go there, don't they? A black sun in the spirit plane that attracts souls. That shouldn't be too hard to find. Sofia stored Bookie with Parith after giving him a hug and summoned the graveyard on herself, bringing her to the spiritual plane. As usual, it was all white and blurry, even in space, it was hard to see far away. I can't even locate the real sun like that. Finding that Cerberus Alpha might be a bit harder than just. I wonder. Sofia popped out of the spiritual plane and searched through her belongings in her storage ring. Here it is. Sun compass, points toward the nearest sun-level source of light. As expected, its needle pointed toward the sun. The graveyard skeleton's hands grabbed Sofia's bone body again. In the spiritual plane, the needle moved. So this was the point of this thing. It's not actually a useless piece of trash. After a good day of correcting her direction and speed, shifting in and out of the spiritual plane, it finally revealed itself, Cerberus Alpha, the Black Sunday. To think they would throw me into space and the gods' plane to try to get rid of me. At least it removes the issue of how to go into space to reach Cerberus Alpha in the first place. Though I guess there must be an intended solution we can find in the trial. They can't possibly be expecting everyone to have a way to turn into a ghost and also be able to navigate in space. When Sofia returned to the physical plane, the celestial object completely disappeared. Now just how do I land on there without dying? Can I even actually land on it? Chapter 456, Cheating, Start. The ghostly sun's black light darkened the spiritual realm. It looked exactly like the depiction of it in the admin's house, a large black star with a shiny, crackled surface, and surrounded by lazily swaying dark flames. It's pulling on my soul. If I get any closer it will become hard to turn back. I might be stuck just like I was stuck on Cerberus Beta's surface. Are you sure about this, Mr. Scribe? Right, can't answer anymore because you need to manage the spells. Sofia returned to the physical realm and made sure that her current velocity was as close to zero as she could, then she turned to a graveyard ghost again, and let the gravity of the black sun slowly pull her in. The attraction was more gentle than she thought it would be, and she managed to land on the sun's surface without too much trouble, touching solid matter in the spiritual realm for the first time. Flying through the layer of dark flames covering the surface had been like falling through a layer of sticky water. Sofia bent down after she landed, and her ghostly hands touched the cold and smooth black spiritual stone the sun was made of. It's a bit like how Alith described the black primus resin, it doesn't feel like real solid grund, but I can't quite get through, like it's pushing me out. I wonder what would happen if I returned to the physical realm now and went down. Would my body sink in and my soul be stuck outside? Without any indication on where to find the altar the scribe had mentioned, Sofia randomly picked a direction to walk in. Now and again, when she stepped over a crack in the ground, the sticky dark flames escaping out of it weakly latched onto her soul for a few meters. 3 hours later, she was starting to feel a bit sick from staying in the spiritual realm too long, when she finally caught sight of a black spire on the horizon. She ran to the strange edifice. It was a black conical tower, in an architectural style that Sofia couldn't quite identify, and the tower itself was empty, but stairs led down into the sun's black crust. The long winding stairs took her very deep into the stars underground, where she finally entered a large room and was kicked out of the spiritual realm, her magic suppressed. Finally out. At least I'm not as nauseous as I should, good point of not having an actual body, I suppose. The room's walls were made of a dark stone speckled with glimmering white dots, the same kind of unbreakable stone that she had discovered behind the walls of the second trial's labyrinth. There was no exit anywhere in sight, even the stairs Sofia had taken to enter the room were nowhere to be seen. Only a lone speckled stone altar stood in the middle of the room on an elevated perch. "All right, I know what to do. But quickly, I'm curious about this stone. I thought it was some fake unbreakable stone invented for the purpose of the second trial." Sofia ejected the key from within her bone body and used it to scrape at the speckled stone walls. Even with the admin's dagger, leaving a thin scraping mark was the best she could do. Maybe it's because the bones don't have much strength. Still, the only other thing I have this dagger can't cut through is the scale armguard. Even mithril doesn't hold. If only I could make Perith a skeleton out of this stuff. She carefully gathered the tiny amount of rock dust she had scraped off of the wall, and tried to identify it. Error. Database could not be reached. That's new. Because of the privacy mode, I suppose. But I could still identify things on the Sun Temple, despite being out of range of the system in its entirety. Things are not really adding up here. Astrite, extremely resilient material of unknown origin. Most often found in ruins of the Lost Epoch. So I still get it despite the error message. Is it because you already knew? Although Sofia asked, she did not really expect an answer, and Jet got up and walked to the altar. "Right, Perith, come out." Perith appeared crouching near Sofia in the altar room. The ceiling was not quite high enough for him to stand up. "I forget that you're so tall. You should get the quest reward too, no? No reason not to? I'm not too sure how the system side of thing works, but since we share my scribe, it should be all right." Perith nodded in response, and Bookie appeared near Sofia. "Then I want to be here too." "Sure." The top of the altar was shaped like a large bowl, and there was a single piece of sunless debris inside. Most of the sunless debris in Sofia's possession were stored in her eye, so she filled up the bowl in an instant. She had enough saved up to do it multiple times if needed. The sunless debris started melting on the altar, and the liquid got absorbed into the stone, leaving a single piece behind. And that was it. Whatever this had accomplished, Sofia could not feel it. But Bookie could. It's the sunless souls. It absorbed them. Really? There were sunless spirit bodies in the debris? I observed myself that their spiritual bodies were scattered and absorbed by this black sun. So they can't possibly be inside the debris. Are you sure of what you say, Bookie? Yes. Super sure. Then. That must be how the sunless reproduce. What a weird. Anyway, shouldn't we have completed the bonus task by now? As if Mr. Scribe had waited for the discussion to finish first, the system windows appeared right on cue. Trial task, upgrade your mana heart to B tier or above and bring it to the planet's core, failed. Additional rewards task, Alpha, failed completed. Alright, fair enough. You got the notifications too, Perith? He confirmed with a nod of his 3 skulls. Error. User cannot fail completed tasks. User cannot complete failed tasks. There we go again. Error. Unrecognized task status. Admin action required. Available admins, 0. Initiating emergency recovery. Please wait. Hey. These are just like the ones I got back then for the dual class. That's nostalgic. Knowing why there are no available admins do make these a lot sadder, though. More notifications followed, one after the other. Error. Rewards could not be delivered. Rewards have been delivered. Handler could not be reached. And finally, one last notification opened, staying in the middle of Sofia's vision. You are now connected to Handler. Please redeem your reward. Any reasonable request, *1. Are we good? This is it. Any reasonable request? That's quite vague. No wonder Mr. Scribe was aiming for this. What would I have asked for otherwise? Probably something related to my current messy situation within the system itself. But there is no point in thinking about it too much. I want my scribe to be upgraded to tier 3. The answer was instantaneous, before Sofia could even finish thinking her thought. Handler has approved your request. Beginning delivery. Just as she read these words, Sofia blacked out. Congratulations! You will now be sent back to the trial grounds. Sofia woke up at the top of a tall spire under a green sky. Bookie immediately noticed and jumped on her. Sofia. Hey Bookie! Did I sleep long this time? About 10 days. Oh. Sorry about that. Is everything fine? It looks like we're back on Cerberus Beta? Yes, we were teleported to this tower and we've just been protecting you until you woke up. Sofia looked around, using her control over bones to move her head, since most of her neck muscles were gone. The top of the spire did not seem to have stairs leading down. She searched for Perith's presence, feeling his position to be about 60 meters below. She gave Bookie a clumsy hug with her bone body and slowly stood up after letting him go. Did the upgrade work? A new quest appeared for her to read, detailing the next steps to take, which she took for a yes, but did not look at too closely for now. She had to satisfy her curiosity about something else first. Perith? Not coming to say hi? Perith teleported to her, and his massive body made the platform instantly look crowded. So? What did you ask for? A big status screen appeared like it was the answer. The status sheet I made for you? Did something change? Name, Perith. Age, 4. Class, Holy Eclipse Skeleton. Level, 249. Health, 12,721 500/12,721 500, 37,146 780 with Sanctified Grounds and Halo. Stamina, 4,315 200/4,315 200, 12,600 384 with Sanctified Grounds and Halo. Mana, 49,800/49 800, 200 * level. Active skills, 6. Sanctified Grounds. Flying Shields of Light. Chains of the Four Seals. Gravity Well. Purification. Greater Heal. Passive skills, 6. Stellar Corona. Shapeless Weapon of Light. Shapeless Armor of Light. Higher Magical Damage Negation. Space Magic Resilience. Displacement Skills Immunity. Special Skills, 6. Bone Density up plus 200%. Silent Bones plus 200%. Teleport to Sofia. Negate hits of less than 10% max health. Quadruple damage against undead. Draconic Shape-Shifting LV.1. Summoner Skills, 5. Blessing of the Deep. Soul Link. Shared Senses. Bone Dominus, Blessed Construct. Rune-Forged Overlord Aura. Enchantments, 3. Generosity of Sun. Avian Magic, Fighting Sense. Avian Magic, Air Steps. Blessing of Bloating. Mark of Afinareth. Best Skeleton. Draconic Shape-Shifting. Are you going to turn into a dragon like Saria? Perith shook his skulls, and the specific skill description popped up for Sofia to read. Draconic Shape-Shifting, the exclusive signature magic of dragons that has allowed them to rule over the world for eons lost. Allows the user to dramatically alter their physical form at will. LV.1, the user can freely alter their body size up to a factor of 3 without any stat penalty. Weight is unaffected, some restrictions apply, changes at higher levels. Next function unlocks at skill level, 2. To show off his new magic, Perith jumped off of the platform. As he plummeted to the ground, his form explosively grew to that of a colossal 15 meters tall skeleton. He landed at the bottom of the spire with a loud bang. Sofia ran to the edge of the platform to look down. I have to say, you made a pretty good choice. Chapter 457, DIY Resolution. Audiobook. Sofia's voice cracked in the middle of her improvised vocalization exercise. Crap. Manually controlling bone lungs to speak is harder than it sounded in my head. Getting there, though. This should be enough if I meet someone, but I might as well keep training as we go. She turned to her skeletons. Perith had downsized to the smallest he could go, putting him at almost the same size as Alith, and he was teaching Bookie how to properly avoid sword attacks. Let's get to Woork, guys. We have 2 hearts to upgrade. Before going, Sofia reread everything one last time. Nascent Mana Heart of Knowledge, /C tier / Imprint Progress, 1200/1200. Small Catalyzer, 0/1. Effects, on use. All stats plus 45%, C rank base. Health plus 8500. Mana plus 21500. Skill Shard, 5/10, Sunless Amalgam Skill. Relocate Core. Arc Light. Destroyer's Nascent Mana Heart of Afinareth, /B tier / Unable to calculate setting time. Imprint progress, 2000/2000. Small catalyzer, 1/1. Medium catalyzer, 0/1. Keystone, 1/1. Effects, stats will be doubled. All stats plus 70%, B rank base. All stats plus 50%. Health plus 10,561. Stamina plus 10,000. Mana plus 159,439. Slashing resistance plus 5%. Relocate core. Destroyer signature skill modifier. Speed shard, 1. Quest, upgrade both hearts to SSS rank. Requirements. 1. Forge a small catalyzer for Perith. Focus on this step for instruction. 2. Fill Perith's imprints, be sure to finish the amalgam skill. 3. Forge 2 medium catalyzers. Focus for instructions. 4. Travel to designated location and fill imprints. Later steps are a work in progress. If nothing else, we really got a lot of mana imprints from Everly's dungeon. Too bad we couldn't get the catalyzers. It took Mr. Scribe 3 hours to come up with these steps 3 and 4. Don't overwork yourself, alright? We've yet to complete step 1. The instructions for step 1 were not as hard as Sofia had feared them to be. The crafting of the small catalyzer was relatively simple, in theory at least. She was just missing some reagents and a proper setup. The main ingredients, perhaps unsurprisingly, were a single piece of small sunless debris and a lot of mana. The crafting instructions also ended with the precision that there were alternative recipes if this one failed. Let's get down from this tower and make a small base of operation. I'll prepare the bone walls and tools. Perith, you flatten a good spot and gather the lumber. Bookie, send the birds to find the missing ingredients. We need the 2 plants I gave you sketches of and one of those rust liquor slimes we encountered on day 1, preferably alive. Understood. Sofia, how much of the plants do we need? A handful of the glowing berries should be enough, I think. For the weird leaves it says about 300 grams, and they look quite small, so probably a lot. Alright. A swarm of skeletal birds and rats soon spread around, all managed directly by Bookie, and Sofia got started of building a giant blessed bone furnace following Mr. Scribe's instructions. Night soon fell, and she switched to the construction of a fortified camp while bolting any approaching sunless drones from afar. In the afternoon of the following day, she was finally ready to start forging the heart catalyzer. She slathered the small sunless debris with a thick paste made of rust liquor slime goo, gold dust, and a bunch of crushed plants, and wrapped that into several layers of oil-soaked bandages. What a waste of good cooking oil! It wasn't cheap either. I don't really understand how that's even supposed to help, but I don't really have a choice except to trust the process. The oily ball was placed in the middle of a complex ritual circle, which itself had been carved into a blessed construct bone plate. Brightly burning blue wood logs were already heating the huge furnace, with the skeleton firebird managing the fire. Sofia stared at the small piece of orichalcum scrap she had thrown into the furnace. More fire. The firebird's spells kindled the flames. Only when the large blue flames escaping from under the furnace started to grow taller than the furnace itself did the bit of orichalcum finally start to melt. Using Bone Dominus, Sofia hastily sent the ritual circle slate with the oily ball into the furnace. She sent a bunch of mana straight into the ritual circle to quick start it, and started to feed a slow and steady stream of mana to the sunless debris in the middle of all this. After 10 minutes of careful mana feeding, Sofia smothered the flames with a bunch of summoned blood, the nauseating smell of which made her instantly regret this move, and she pulled the slate out of the furnace. In the middle of the ritual circle, only a small lump of what looked like black coal remained. Bookie stood on his tiptoes to get a look at it. Did it work? Sofia scanned the black lump with her mana senses. The sunless debris was still in there. It had become a lot smaller and was radiating a small quantity of mana. I think we got it, Sofia answered, but we won't know before the last step. Perith? Yo, our turn, she said as she left the slate behind, grabbed Bookie by the hand and walked away. Perith grew from his current human size to his maximum size of 15 meters. While the taller size technically did not give him more strength, his both allowed him to summon much larger weapons of light, and allowed his swings to accumulate a lot more momentum. He aligned himself correctly, activated his consecrated grounds, and raised his arms. A giant flat-headed hammer of light appeared in his hands, and it came down on the small black lump like a falling meteor. According to the recipe, a bright flash of light should occur after hitting the black lump and breaking the catalyzer out of it, that would signify the catalyzer was ready. The hammer crushed the black lump. There was no flash of light. When Perith dispelled the hammer, there was only black dust left under it. Bookie ran up to the slate, sounding shocked and disappointed. Did Brother Perith hit it too hard? No, the instructions say that the harder the hit the better. I would have even added the 3rd tier Runeforged Overlord boost if I had any mana left. This must mean I messed up somewhere. Sorry, let's start again. It took 3 more failures before Sofia understood where she was messing up. The flow of mana she fed to the sunless debris through the entire cooking process was just not stable enough, and it showed when observing the ritual circle with her mana senses. The unsteady flow of mana disturbed the ritual. The reasonable solution to this would have been to train for a few days until she was capable of supplying a smoother and steadier flow of mana, but what Sofia opted to do instead was to use a long bone rod as an extension to her already bone-made arms and to feed the mana through direct contact. Had she been a bit more confident in her fire resistance, she might have even jumped directly into the furnace instead. Finally, when Perith hit a black lump for the 4th time, the flash of light occurred, and they had finally created a viable something. A small shiny rock. Small crushing heart catalyzer, a contraband heart catalyzer crafted by a ragtag team of bone people. Allows one to upgrade their mana heart from rank C to B once sufficient imprint power has been collected. Gives the mana heart the added attribute, plus 5% blunt force damage resistance. We did it! Bookie exclaimed, jumping around the camp. Sofia picked up the catalyzer. It looked just like the one from Terran's dungeon. Smiling to herself, she passed it to Perith along with his mana heart. Not bad for a first-timer. Sofia immediately turned around to face the man who had just spoken from behind her, almost completely out of mana. She brandished her dagger. Bookie and Perith were instantly ready to fight. The stout man who had appeared behind the trio without anyone noticing raised an eyebrow. He was human-looking, and taller than Sofia, wearing only dirty brown shorts and a worn-out leather apron over his hairy bare chest. That's a nice knife you got there. I get why the others found you so hard to find. He said with a light-hearted smirk, his posture completely open. Sofia could not feel a single speck of mana from the man, and trying to identify him got her no response at all. Who are you? Why were you looking for us? How did you find us? Sofia asked in a controlled but accusatory tone, without lowering her dagger. The core member privacy mode should have made her completely invisible to the system like it had done for Hugo, and VPPV protected her from things like divination, so, considering she was in a random spot on a vast, mostly uninhabited planet, someone finding her so fast was just unbelievable. Me? I'm just an old craftsman. Been looking for you 3 on behalf of Kyle. As for how, I just followed the essence you've been feeding me all afternoon. Was quite simple really, since there's no one else out there. God. Hoi, I don't like those eyes. Are you done here? We're going. Chapter 458, The Only Answer She Needs. Do I have a choice? Sofia asked the human-looking god. What? Don't wanna come? Your mates are waiting for you, you know? My mates? Yeah, funny bunch those. Your sister's already left, though, I'm already done with her. The horned one too. Cynthia? I'll come. Just give me a minute to store all the bones, Sofia told him as she turned around and started to separate the walls of the camp and the furnace to store them. The god silently watched. As she quickly swept up the camp, Sofia asked another question, what do you mean you're done with them? Are they back into the trial? No, they're back on the main planet. I'm done reforging them. Sofia stopped, the mana waves. Did something happen to them? So you did feel them then? Not totally oblivious. Nothing happened to them, no, but I did get royally fucked after I got done with your sis. The bitches took control of the excess mana and used it to fuck around. Did quite a bit of damage. You were the main target though, so you probably know best. So that's how it went, Sofia murmured to herself. She turned to face the god properly. I hope you will excuse my crude behavior until now. You should be able to understand why I have my reservations about trusting random gods, especially after I got imprisoned in Peace's domain. This where they sent you? Had a run-in with Peace? The god asked back, visibly intrigued. If you've noticed my lack of a body, that's Peace's work. Oh. He must have been in a good mood. That's a good mood kind of meeting with Peace. Course, he didn't alter your blueprint to remove your face, so he must have been lenient. That's disturbing. Well, that's peace, yet. The god said, awkwardly scratching his beard. Sofia apologized again for her initial reaction, and told the god she was just about ready to leave whenever. No harm done, I'd probably be even more wary than you are if I were you, they did erase you from all the system's records and protections after all. What? Really? Yet, more than that, even, they infected the lower tier scribes to erase people's memories of you, some fucked up stunt they done pulled. Sofia's expression darkened. I already knew about Everell forgetting, but everyone? They were really trying to erase me. Well, it's not that bad, not everyone got affected. Us divine ones have no scribes, so we're good. The entire upper system staff is unaffected too, and all the fuckers at level 500 obviously wouldn't let such a joke of an attack affect them. For everyone else it's a different story. Alith and the others still remember me, right? Mr. Scribe said the mark would protect them. How'd they be waiting for you if they didn't? Ah, the kid did forget about you for a bit until Moon came to fix her up. From what I understand your sister's friend forgot too, and that's still being worked on. So it can be reversed? Does it need to be a god? Honestly don't know, asked Kyle. On my side I'm more excited about what Emma do about the thing your scribe's been cooking inside you. Cooking inside me? Does he mean VPPV? You're the one helping people fuse with their mana heart if I understand everything correctly. Who are you? Forge? Handicraft? Aha, not far. I like to go by Clint, but if you want the formal, it's creation. You'll need to come see me when your heart's ready. Creation. How did Saria do? Got an interesting keystone. Anyway, we're going now? Of course she reached SSS rank. Wait, 2 more questions, if you will allow me. Creation scratched his beard again, waiting for Sofia to continue. Are you really still going to help me with my mana heart even though I failed the trial, and who is it exactly who is after me? It can't be just scripture, so who are the others? What do they want? Yeah, I'll still reforge you, you kidding? Why do you think I picked this job? To help the system? I couldn't give less of a fuck, life's handling this crap. I'm just out here perfecting my craft. He's here for his own personal interest? I wonder if he knows already since she spends so much time making things. This might be a good opportunity. I need more allies right now. Strong allies. And preferably ones who can rescue me from the god's realm if I get trapped there again. Sofia nodded along to his explanation. I see you are a much more approachable god than I originally feared, she said while absorbing the dagger she had still been holding until now back into her bone body. Perchance, would you be looking for someone to hold on to a few of your essences for you? Creation threw his head back with a hearty laugh. Ha, you're a fun one. You know essences aren't something we can hand out, so wait, you're serious? You noticed what my scribe has been working on and you're surprised about that? Sofia asked, bewildered. As the discussion was starting to grow long, while Parith still stood next to Sofia, Bookie had walked away and was drawing dragons in the dirt with a stick. Creation frowned and mumbled in his beard. What? Oh. The dagger. To think it's still so blinding even now. A weird large mask with a visor appeared on his head, and Creation lowered the visor, gasped, and brought it up again. Whoa, I understand why you might be a target. By my divine beard, this is something. Are you Sun's secret daughter? That might have made my life easier. But no. I just helped her form some connections. Sun would give 5. Creation mumbled to himself again. He grabbed his mask off and made it disappear. I'll think about it. He finally said. Won't be free. I'm glad to see Sir Clint is a reasonable businessman. What about my other question? That I don't have the slightest damn clue. This trial's archangel was with him, that how we ended up here, gave him a rightful beating and he fucked off, that about all I know. So at least 2 gods and an archangel. Well, if all's good, down we go. The scenery just changed around Sofia her group, it was seamless and instantaneous. Bookie let out a surprised yelp. My drawing. Sofia looked around while she walked up to Bookie and grabbed him in her arms to comfort him. The place they had been sent to was the interior of some windowless room lit by lightstones embedded into the metallic walls. There were closed doors on 2 sides. Where is this? She asked Creation. My teleportation room. We're in somewhat of an emergency lockdown right now, gotta wait for Kyle or Life to transfer us over. Sofia kept hugging Bookie as she walked along the room, observing the rituals embedded in the walls. It's the second time you mention life. Are there that many gods on the physical plane? I thought it was supposed to be hard to cross into it. About 20 of us down there maybe? The big players, mostly, me, Life, Victory, Moon, we ain't small fries like scripture. Though I guess he managed to scam his way in too. Some transition from a plane to the other quite frequently, Sun being the most notable since she can cross easily. That's a lot more than I thought. Did you include the recessed in the count? Nah, don't know about them. I'm already hard-pressed to care about the politics of my own plane, let alone whatever the hell them crazy bunch are doing. Thank you anyway, you've answered a lot of my questions. Anything you want to ask me? I'd ask you to sell me the key if your life didn't depend on it. Would have gladly traded that for a few essences for sure. Besides that, not really. I'm very content to stay out of the deep sway, Creation explained with a snort. His eyes wandered to Sofia's right arm, and he turned around and mumbled. I need to have a talk with Moon, though. Sneaky bitch. A tall woman with ice blue hair appeared in front of Creation. She was wearing a thin and pointy golden crown, a tight blue and white outfit, and her face was strangely flat, with no nose, no mouth, and only two blue pupil-less eyes staring straight at the bearded god. She grabbed Creation by the neck and ripped his head off his chest. Her words were like icy daggers. You sure have a big mouth, Clint. Ha, at least I have one, Clint's disembodied head answered, completely unfazed. Sofia only noticed one thing. So gods do have a skeleton. Chapter 459 Reparations. The woman let go off Creation's head, and it snapped back to where it belonged as if nothing had ever happened. She turned to Sofia. Sofia guessed that the woman must be Moon, she was quite intimidating. And you? The goddess said, staring at Sofia with her empty eyes. Why yes. Thank you. She said with an emotionless voice before disappearing from the room. Hey? Sofia looked at Clint with a questioning gaze. What? That was Moon, she's always like this. Better get used to it. I guess that. But why did she thanks me for? What do I know? 'Cause you're friends with the small oracle, maybe? Don't think about it too hard, Moon just does what Moon does. Sure. Do you have an oracle too? A saint? No, can't be bothered. Kyle is coming so I'm taking my leave here, see you later, you better bring me a damn good heart to forge for my troubles. With these last words, Clint disappeared as well, leaving Sofia and her skeletons alone in the room. Moon is scary, Bookie commented. I agree. But she seems nice, too. In a way. And she said nothing about the whole crashing into the moon thing, so. They continued chatting, and Kyle entered through the doors a few minutes later, raising a hand in salutations. Hey, your team's gone from 2 to 3 effective members, I see. Hi Kyle. You're wrong, Bookie's always been part of the team. Whatever you say, I know where it comes from so I'm not gonna argue. Now, I would like to formally apologize on behalf of the entire system staff, Kyle said while performing a deep bow. Sofia was uncertain of what to say. To begin with, she was no longer even surprised by the system messing things up in 1,000 ways, so the current situation was just more of that. There were people within the system targeting her, and they started to move more openly, but their existence was also something she expected for a while, that had been the entire reason she needed to move to the Draconic system in the first place. Faced with a lack of response, Kyle straightened back up and started to leave the room. Follow me, I'll explain things on the way. Sofia let Bookie down, though she kept holding his hand, and she followed behind Kyle out of the room. The Archangel rebelled, from what I heard. Clint and his loose mouth. Yes, Neberagon, this trial's Archangel, has escaped and betrayed the system. He erased your data from the tower, among other things. From the latest news, we have 4 Archangels who have turned and about a dozen angels are missing, Kyle explained with a long sigh. So many. They were preparing this for a long time, we think. You just happened to be at the center of things because of your link with scripture. The Archangel in charge of your first trial, Vakaragan, was one of them. He used his authority to change the contents of your trial. He is gone now. Oh. Is that the reason why I woke up in a safe house after my trial back then? No. That was also Vakaragan's doing. He dispersed his essence soon after. Sofia stopped in her tracks. He killed himself. Kyle turned around and looked Sofia in the eyes. That's a way to say it. The Archangel's lives are for the system to give and take, to begin with. The traitors will not have long to live. The handler is already after them. Handler? The same one who accepted my request for the bonus task? Can I ask who that is exactly? One of the high scribes, Kyle said as he turned back around to lead the way again. But no matter, I am sharing this because you are directly impacted, but this situation is for us system staff to deal with, not you. We would appreciate if you focused on your own growth and did not look into this any further. Sofia stopped again, frustrated. You're saying this as if they were not trying to erase me from existence. My trial is botched, I don't know if I can ever level up in the future, and they even deleted me from people's memory. You want me to act like this did not happen? Yes. We will do our best to fix what can be, that is why, follow me. Sofia followed Kyle through the metallic underbelly of the planet, and into a small meeting room where he began explaining a few more things. Sofia left the room with mixed feelings. The best new information was that the memory erasure issue could be easily fixed, all she needed was some direct physical contact with the people who forgot about her. As long as her scribe could have a direct link to the other person's scribe, the new automatic repair protocols would kick in and restore the forgotten memories. The other news were not all quite as good. On one hand, because of how the system worked, she could still complete the trial despite having failed it, and as long as she did, she would be able to challenge the next one without problem to get through the next filter as usual. On the other hand, because of the system's strict and unalterable policies, since she had failed a trial, she had thus lost the level up privileges and the support for new skills and skill slots. There was nothing Kyle could do about that. In his opinion, even asking for this ban to be lifted as her task reward request to handler would have absolutely been denied. Sofia learned nothing new about who her enemies were or why they did what they did, the information Kyle had shared on the way to the meeting room being all he was predisposed to actually say on the matter. Now she was waiting alone with her skeletons on a bench, while Kyle had gone to handle something else before she could meet up with everyone else. Suddenly Sofia felt her forces leave her. She almost panicked but soon understood what was happening. Mr. Scribe was taking control of her mana to be able to communicate directly. Things are going according to plan. Don't fight it, just accept his conditions. I have a loophole we can use for leveling up, and the skills are not an issue. Mr. Scribe. How are the skills not an issue? And the skill slots? Skill slots are a sham to begin with, a system restriction and nothing else. The space you have for magic circuits in your body and soul is not dependent on the system. The slots are nothing but a representation of the system power allotted to you. That sounds logical, and it works well with the explanation Belly Genus gave before we fused the Dodge, me classless. But what about the skills? Am I still going to get new keywords? What about the subclass function from the dagger? And the third specialization? Exactly, because we have the dagger, none of that will matter. The key holds enough data for me to be able to manage all that without involving the main system. This is all possible because I am now a tier 3. Just don't lose the key no matter what. Understood. What about the plan for VPPV? Will that still work? No. But I am working on it. I need to make myself scarce, giving you the mana back. Sofia felt her strength come back just as Kyle came out of another room with long strides, holding a simple wooden box. He passed the box to Sofia. With a sigh, he explained, "Here, this is the best I can do for you. Again, I'm really sorry about this whole thing, but it is best if you stay out of it. Take all this, and focus on yourself. If you really want to defend yourself, this is the best you can do." The vampire seraph seemed really out of it, the energy he had shown before the start of the trial nowhere to be seen. "Thank you. Still, to be ejected from the system like this. I know this is a really unfair situation for you, especially since the archangels are to blame. But to be blunt, only the admins could fix this mess, and they've been, missing. For a long while. Oh, I know a lot about that. So what's in the box? You do?" Kyle asked, visibly taken aback, but he quickly switched to answering the question. "There's a mana pearl you need to consume, that contains the fix for the memory issue. After that you just need to touch the affected people and they will remember you again. You can try it with Michael in a minute. Besides that, I included all the catalyzers you're missing to help with the trial since you no longer have access to the trial dungeons. The imprints and the rest you can still get by yourself. There's a book on alternative ways to level up and a book on creating spells from scratch. You're going to need these. Both are very hard topics, but you seem talented enough. Lastly, there are a few stat pills as an apology gift for this entire thing. Do be careful when you consume them after the filter. That's a lot, thank you, Sofia answered with a slight smile. Kyle sighed again. I wish I could handle this matter better, but this is all I can do. I will teleport you to the common room in a moment, you can have a talk with the others, and the trial will resume in a few days' time, after we've made sure that a similar attack can't happen a second time and everything is safe. Sofia nodded and Kyle started to turn back to leave, but he stopped and added a few last words. It's better if you stay disconnected for a few months. Or more. Check in with me or another seraph before connecting to the system again. Or you could open yourself to another trip to the gods' realm. Good luck, you three. Chapter 460, The Strangest Human Couple. After Kyle told Sofia where to go and left, she opened the box and popped the mana pearl into her mouth. Yug. Mine's taste better. And having to chew on this without being able to swallow is. Ugh. Sofia looked down at her bone body. With her clothes on, it did not look too far from the true thing on the outside, aside from it being quite rigid and made of bones, but the truth was that the only semi-functional thing inside were here manually activated lungs to speak. Should I make myself a fake stomach in there? That is gonna be awkward in a lot of ways. Maybe I should just not eat. She identified the other things in the box, and it was clear now that the current descriptions were all just Mr. Scribe guesswork. He identified the catalyzers as a medium slashing, a medium explosion, a large slashing, and 2 unknown giant ones, but that was where the certainty ended. For the 4 stat pills, Mr. Scribe was drawing a blank. Large something pill, gives a 100,000 of something. Only for leave 250 plus. You know what to do with it. Large something else pill, gives a 100,000 of something else. Only for leave 250 plus. You also know what to do with it. It's probably just one of each. Health, speed, strength, agility. Anyway. What about the books? They look quite old. Sofia picked up the smaller of the 2 books, it was fully handwritten, the first page read The Schools of Mana Strengthening, and it came with a short message from the author, here's what you asked for, Jin. I only included the techniques which have successfully led to pinnacle ascensions, so there's not so many. Hope you like it, Anna 3. Anna again. A certain Anna writing books. Is Jin the human admin, then? Wouldn't this be considered a legendary relic of the system or something? Can Kyle just give that away? The other book had no title, and the only sign of the author being credited anywhere was a signature that looked like an ornate K on the last page. Did Kyle write this one, maybe? Sofia quickly read over the introduction pages of both books, and while the magic creation one was full of technical terms that would take a while for Sofia to really analyze and understand, the one on mana strengthening was extremely straightforward. It presented 5 main ways of reaching pinnacle ascension. Aura resonance, natural ability of the strong races. Warpath scriptures, training through repeated half-deaths and suffering. Evolving technique of the Old Lord, mana reforging. Eterenian dark arts, soul grafting. The ancient human method, mana circulation. This is all very intriguing. The ancient human method must be what Iwara was using. Aura being associated to strong races is just a given since it's what dragons have. Never heard of the Old Lord, but it's hard not to think of the deep when I read this. Never heard of the Eterenians either. Soul grafting. I wonder if that's how Richard trained. And the Warpath scriptures. I mean. Except for the distasteful name, this sounds like something I could have come up with. Have I been unknowingly getting stronger with all my unlife rune activations? My system stats never reflected something like that, at least. I'll be sure to give these books a good read later. Finally done chewing on the tough mana pearl, Sofia stood up and left the corridor, following Kyle's direction. Parith followed behind, carrying Bookie on his shoulders between his 3 necks. Making her way through the underground complex, Sofia crossed path with a few paper people. They all completely ignored her as they floated from room to room. I guess they work for the system in one way or another, like the Sunless. That would explain why they're allowed to live on Cerberus Beta. Finally reaching her destination, Sofia entered the common room. It's just another fucking underground city. A paper people city. It's not that big, though. Maybe a few thousand people can live in there? I have a good view from up here. She spent a few seconds trying to find any non-paper person in between the rings of steel houses of this city built inside the walls of a large chasm, but even from her vantage point at the very top of the city, she failed. Wait. I'm dumb. Sofia exchanged position with Iwarat. He took a few seconds to accept, and when he did, she found herself standing on a couch next to Everell in what looked like a small tavern. Nearby, Alith, Astelia and Michael were sitting at a table with a few other people, and quite a few other tables were occupied by groups of paper people. Sofia awkwardly stepped down from the couch. Thankfully, it was in a corner booth and there was some kind of privacy ritual preventing sound from going in or out, so Everell was the only one who had noticed the embarrassing entrance. Sofia, I presume? Everell asked from the couch, crossing her pointy black legs. Yes. Did I interrupt something? Not really. Parith appeared next to Sofia, holding on to Bookie and Iwarat. I am glad to see you safe and sound, Lady Sofia, Iwarat greeted with a nod. Happy to see you again, IWA. How are things? Oh, should I start with fixing Everly's memories? Everell herself instantly answered, please do. I am already aware of the details. Just grab my arm, she instructed, raising one of her long black sleeves. Sofia nodded and grabbed the sleeve. Everell jumped out of the couch in shock, she started shouting as she grabbed her head. Holy fuck! Sofia! I'm gonna kill those fucking scribes. They ruined it. They ruined our they ruined our duel. The shit-eating Asgarg. Iwara stopped her by grabbing her and gently shoving her back into the couch. Calm down, Eve. This is not like you. The Sunless sighed from the couch, letting herself fall back weakly. Yet. I'm just mad about this shit, you know. They erased my damn memory, she complained. Then after another loud sigh, she had calmed down. Hi again, Sofia. Sorry about all this. Good to see you all still alive. Oh, by the way, this is for Yun Bookie, she said as she tossed a small glove to the skeleton. Bookie's jaw dropped as he scrambled to catch the glove. Miss Everell is the best. Thanks. Maybe we'll have an occasion to duel again later? I didn't expect you to be the first person I catch up with after getting back from. Yet. Well, you have the fake Sunless over here to thank for that. Dumbass wasted his bonus task reward to get me out of a job contract a few hundred years early, she explained while looking at Iwara with a smile in her voice. A worthwhile investment, if you ask me, Iwara commented. Oh, looks like the others noticed you, skeleton girl. Sofia turned around, and indeed, Alith was waving at her from her table with a big smile on her face. I should go, Sofia said. Then do, oh, Bookie can stay, I need to explain a few things about the gloves. Sofia shrugged, she turned to Parith and Bookie, you guys do what you want, we'll probably be here a while. There were already 10 people at the table, but Alith made some space next to her and did all the introductions. Besides Alith, Astelia, and Michael, there were also 4 more trial takers, 3 Exidians and an orc, along with 3 Sunless, one of which Sofia recognized as Terran, the sword-wielding dungeon boss. The introductions were fast, especially since Sofia had already unknowingly achieved urban legend status as the Saintess who got erased from the system. After Sofia helped Michael and Terran regain their memories of her, she could barely breathe as she spent the next few hours drinking and answering 1,000 questions. It was only 12 days later that everyone was allowed to resume the trial. Sofia observed the battle through a bone token. It had been 2 weeks since the hunt started, and finally, the creature was on its deathbed. Her skeletons had tracked it relentlessly every time it escaped to tend its wounds, never letting it rest or sleep, never letting it find her. Finally the beast was cornered. Parith grappled the lion head of the large chimera while the hundreds of skeleton Kijikik soldiers slowly closed in from all sides. The beast was barely holding on. Its serpent head tail had been the first to go, destroyed by a very long-range piercing angel's bolt, and the goat head on its back had been later cut off in the 23rd battle against Parith. The chimera's tough hide used to be impervious to the Kijikik soldiers' attacks, but the skeletons under Bookie's command would now send their spears straight into the open injuries of the beast, slowly gnawing at the last bits of its strength. The creature struck back, but it was weak now, and under the shining sunlight, the skeletons were invincible, no matter how far their bones were sent flying, they came back like an endless army of mindless soldiers. Parith's hammer landed a solid hit on the side of the lion head, the creature stumbled and toppled from the blow. The Kijikik soldiers rushed and piled up on the falled beast, and Parith's size grew to the maximum. He raised his arms, shifting his hammer into a sword, and mercilessly plunged it into the lion's skull. You have defeated Chimera, LV 370, imprint cannot be damaged. Sofia cut her connection to the bone token and opened her eyes. She was sitting cross-legged on thin air, at the maximum altitude she could go before the violent monocurrents around Cerberus Beta stopped her. The battlefield was right below her. What a tough one! Good job everyone! Give me a second, Perith, I'm coming to give you your heart. We finally have your keystone. She quickly updated Perith's hearts page and gave another look to her own. Chimera's complete monoheart of knowledge, /SSS tier / Destroyer's complete monoheart of Afinareth, /SSS tier / Extra ranks, here I come.